Hey, what's up, everyone? It's George from Crypto Potato, and today we're joined by Shahaf Bar-Geffen. Shahaf is the CEO and founder of COTI. Apart from being a scalable payments network, COTI also aims to be completely transparent and abiding by existing regulations. In today's episode, we chat about some of the new products coming up, the revolutionary crypto volatility index, and of course, about the recent trends, such as the booming NFT sector, the play to earn, and much more. If you want to know where Shahaf sees Bitcoin heading next, you will have to find out towards the end of this video. So make sure to smash the like button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss on any new videos coming in the future. Let's dive in. Hey Shahaf, thanks for agreeing to do this, man. It's really nice having you on.
Hey, hello, George. Thank you for having me here today.
You're most certainly welcome. Before we dive into the conversation about COTI and everything that you guys are trying to do, can I take you back a little bit? And perhaps you can share a few things about you and what were you doing before crypto? When did you get into the industry? And yeah, things like that.
Okay, sure. Well, I've been a tech entrepreneur most of my life. Started off back in 2006, founded a company. Believe it or not, it was called Web3 back then. It was a pretty big media company. It did really well, and eventually was acquired by IPG or Mccan Erickson. Then went on to co-found a company called Positive Mobile. We were one of the first mobile ad networks in the world, advertising on smartphones. That was also acquired by Brightcom. And then 2015, 16, started investing in the market, participated in a few of the big ICOs back then, and ended up co-founding COTI with a bunch of partners at 2017.
You mentioned your first company called Web3, which is perhaps one of the hottest buzzwords right now in the industry.
Yeah.
But what is your take on it? What do you think Web3 actually is?
Well, as a definition, there are quite a few definitions. I think Rick Dixon said it quite nicely. It's the web, but orchestrated by tokens, right? So if Web 1 was read, we just read things. Web 2 was read write. We read, but we could also participate with user-generated content. Web 3 is read, write, own. So everything we could do at Web 2, but the ownership of everything, of the infrastructure, is orchestrated by tokens and incentives instead of a centralized entity that has all the incentives to run it for everyone. I think Web 3 is much more than a buzzword. It's not more of a buzzword than the internet is a buzzword. It's an obvious offering out there that is definitely part of the future. Will everything be Web 3? I'm not sure, but a lot of the things that are today organized by centralized companies will be organized by tokens and by community incentives. And people are already taking part at Web 3 when they connect through the connect button in an app. They are essentially connecting their identity and wallet to the world. And with that, they're taking part at Web 3.
I know many people are already familiar with COTI and what is it that you guys are trying to do, but can you perhaps explain it for those of our audience who are relatively newer to the industry and might not have heard about you guys yet? So in layman's terms, what is COTI and what do you try to achieve?
Sure. Well, first of all, COTI is layer one, right? So we are a protocol. We have our own native chain like Ethereum, Solana have their own chains. Our chain, however, is optimized to do payments or consumer merchant payments. It means that we've built everything from the grounds up to specifically solve all the issues around payments. back at 2017, it was obvious that the payment industry or how value is transmitted in the world is using old rails. It's the same technology that we've been using even before the internet. And what it means is that, when, for instance, you're paying with a credit card at a merchant store, there are a lot of mediators in the process. That will always cost a fee. It can be as small as 0.5% of the transaction, but it can go all the way up to 8% of the transaction. It means that this process will be slow by definition. So settlement time can be, a day, but it could also be 30 days. It means that it will never include everybody. So there are 1.5 billion people in the world that are underbanked. That will not be solved with this system. So it was pretty clear that traditional finance can improve. And we were trying to optimize it with using blockchain and peer-to-peer transactions based on digital assets. However, when we were looking at the layer ones out there back then, and even now, we immediately saw that they're just not optimized to do that. Their transaction throughput is too slow, right? You cannot pay with a Bitcoin because settlement will take forever, and not even with Ethereum. So we needed to build a chain that was fast enough. We needed it to be cost effective. It can't cost, gas fees, right, on Ethereum. It can't cost that much to do a simple transaction. So we needed to solve that. We needed to solve everything around regulation and KYC for payment systems. So we've just decided to take on the mission to build everything from the ground up to be optimized for payments. So we needed a new type of technology for our layer one. So we've decided to not use blocks like they do in blockchain, but rather use what is called a direct acyclic graph, or a DAG for that instance, that is much faster. And that allows us to do about 100,000 transactions per second, which is, at least 3 orders of magnitude faster than everything out there, and do transaction that cost fractions of a cent. And that is optimized for payments. With that, we've decided very early on to do what everybody's doing today, which is to KYC and AML procedures for all our users. So essentially, you can't have a COTI wallet if you haven't done your KYC and AML, which means that we are regulation friendly, and we have the licenses that is needed to build an infrastructure. So using this and the wallets that we've built and the crypto gateways that we've built, we've actually built the digital rails for tomorrow's type of payments. We offer that to enterprises that want to issue their own tokens. We offer that to merchants that want to work with digital assets and optimize their payment systems. And we're even working with the big protocols out there like Cardano, for instance, to build solutions for payments. And that has paid very well, and it's working very well. And COTI is it's quite popular between retail and merchants and enterprises alike.
Yeah, and we can not talk about the booming popularity of layer ones, especially over the past, let's say, 1 or 2 years, especially in 2021. We saw chains like Solana, Cardano, Avalanche, and whatnot explode. How do you see this field in the future? Do you think it's going to be a winner takes all scenario, or do you see a place where all of these protocols, including COTI, can coexist? Is there a market for everyone?
Well, I'm absolutely certain that it will not be a winner takes all, but rather, optimize solutions for specific problems. So you'll have chains that are very good at solving this, and chains that are very good at solving that. And usually that's the case with technologies, right? With consumer products, sometimes you have a monopoly of sorts, right? Like maybe Google is on right. Search, or Facebook or Meta is for social. But you don't have that in technologies. You have all sorts of solutions. So I think that is definitely the future: optimized chains to solve specific problems. But with that in mind, what we will definitely see in the future are just very good bridges, or multiple chains working in sync or in coordination to solve various things. And this is how technology stack is built in many other things. And I don't see why this will be different. So you can maybe have a dApp built on Ethereum. User is doing a few things. He then goes on to do games, and now he's on Solana. He needs to pay for something. He goes on to COTI and use our trust chain. And everything happens seamlessly with interoperability bridges. This is probably the future more than anything else.
Yeah. You've recently launched the Coty Treasury. Can you tell us a little bit more about it? What is the Coty Treasury?
Yes, for sure. And I think, I don't know if it's clear in my back, but
right behind you.
Yeah, but yes, the Treasury is I always say that Treasury is a new era for Coty, because what the Treasury is doing is actually collect all the rewards and all the benefits that come from the vast COTI network, takes it all, streams it to one place, and then users that own COTI or have COTI in their native wallets can just stake that COTI in that Treasury and receive all the rewards that come with our network. This is how we've directly connected the growth of our ecosystem with the value that people can get from it by owning our native currency. So the Treasury was launched. I think I may even, yeah, I can show you that. That was pretty fast after the launch. So it's $38 million of staked COTI, and still giving about 200% APY to people. There is still, similar amount that is staked in our old staking system called Staking 3.0, and that will probably, move to that system as well. So overall, I think we are now sitting at $75 million of TVL, 48 hours after launch. So that is pretty fast, and just shows the crazy demand for the product. And I've predicted that by this month end, we'll probably sit at more than $100 million in TVL. So that's the Treasury. It's
something that we can definitely revisit in about a month from now to see how it goes.
Yeah. I try not to give too many predictions, so I won't look stupid over time. But I'm happy with giving this prediction.
Yeah. You've mentioned your partnership with a lot of protocols and ecosystem players such as Cardano. Can you tell us a little bit more about what is it that you guys are doing with Cardano? Not recently, but a few months ago, you announced that you will be the issuer of the JET stablecoin. And the interesting thing about JET is that it's an algorithmic stablecoin, so it's not just like traditional stablecoins. But can you dump this concept down a little bit and perhaps clarify what an algorithmic stablecoin actually means?
Sure. So I'll start off by describing what JET is, and then talk about our relationship with Cardano. So JET is, as you mentioned, an algorithmic stablecoin. It means that it keeps its peg to another asset, specifically US dollar in that case, by buying and selling another type of token, which is the reserve token. So with algorithmic stablecoins, you normally have the stable asset called JED, and the algorithmic reserve coin, which we call, and it's, as we speak right now, it's not revealed yet, but it will be revealed later on this afternoon. So I can tell you right now, the name of it, its name is Shen. It also comes from ancient Egypt, like JED is. So Shen is a reserve coin. And when you can use it to buy JED off the market and raise its price to the peg. You can sell JED for the reserve coin to lower its price and keep it pegged. And this is how algorithmic stablecoins usually work. This has been in design in Cardano. So Cardano has designed and developed the technology for it for the past 2 years. So it's already been battle tested through crazy market volatility. on testnet, and implementations on Ergo and so on. So it's pretty sophisticated. I think it's the most sophisticated design out there right now for algorithmic stablecoins. And it's going to be very important because JED will be the algorithmic stablecoin to rule the Cardano ecosystem. And we've mentioned layer ones, and Cardano is a very big layer one, and it's now starting to explode with activity and dApps. And JED has already signed partnership with more than 10 DEXs, including all the top 10 in the Cardano DeFi ecosystem. So we believe that JED in Cardano DeFi will be like USDC is for the Ethereum DeFi, meaning the token that everybody is building the trading pairs with. And it just means that it's going to be very, very popular. We are the issuer of JED. COTI is the issuer of JED. And it means that COTI is the one to collect the burn and mint fees that comes with it. And as we just spoke, we're taking these fees, putting them into the treasury and giving it to all the users that have deposited in Coty's treasury. This obviously increases the demand for COTI and also the rewards for everybody that is involved. Now, circling back to our relationship with Cardano, we're very close with Cardano, both with Charles Hoskinson, the founder, which I love, and the IOG team and their leadership team. And this is not the first thing we're actually doing with Cardano. We've also built AdaPay, a few versions of AdaPay, participated in a few big things like big donation campaigns, also a bidding for NFT sort of campaigns. So we have a long mileage with Cardano. I think it's 3 years now. And C Fund, which is Cardano's ecosystem fund, the first ever investment they made was in Coty's shares. So they are equity partners of Coty as well. So we're very close with them and proud to be their partner.
Do you see Cardano competing on a full-blown level with the major layer ones like Ethereum, for example, going forward now that smart contracts are out and working?
Absolutely, and it's already competing with them. I mean, just in terms of market value, Cardano is not a small layer one. It's one of the top layer ones out there, and I think and that happened even before smart contracts, even before actual development of dApps and everything started on the chain, or when it wasn't as vast as it is right now. And what it proves is that people believe or speculate that this will be the case, and it will most definitely be the case. Some people like to make fun of Cardano. They will be very wrong because Cardano is very strong in engineering. I think, and I may be off a bit, but I think it's that there's like 400 engineers working around in Cardano. They've put out more. They've published more papers, academic papers, than anyone else. So Cardano is very, very thorough. I remind people that Charles Hoskinson was a co-founder of Ethereum, right? And I think the easiest thing for Cardano was to build another Ethereum knockoff. They decided not to do that, but to take the long path, which they had. So when they actually release things, they are very good. And I think the layer one products or the ecosystem development over Cardano would be super strong. As I've mentioned, there could be many chains out there. I don't think Cardano's idea is to just kill Ethereum. Cardano's idea is to develop other things. And I think they'll be very successful in doing so.
Yeah, let's circle back a little bit and talk about another one of the things that you guys are working on. I'm personally very interested in this one. It's the crypto volatility index. Can you break it down for us, please, for everyone who's listening?
Yeah, for sure. So I think I may have even a slide for this. Yes. So crypto volatility index, a CVI, which is governed by a token called COTI. So let's begin with fundamentals, right? Usually when people trade, even in traditional finance, they begin with spot trading, in buying the asset at its price. And then, people start to speculate using options, right? To build maybe a hedge strategy or just to speculate on the future. And crypto is pretty much the same thing, right? We obviously have spot, whether it's DEXs or centralized exchanges, and centralized exchanges, and even DeFi now has options in it. What is also happened in traditional finance is that the next derivative is usually volatility trading, meaning you have a speculation about how volatile the market is going to be, but you're not certain about the direction. And to that extent, there is a very major index in traditional finance called VIX, right? Some people call it the market fear index. It's actually more of excitement than fear, more than anything. But VIX gives you an estimation on what is the implied volatility in the market for the next 30 days. And usually when it's high, it means that the market is going to be very volatile. So that's VIX. We don't have that in crypto. Well, we do, because we've developed it recently. A year ago, we've developed the crypto volatility index. It's built using the same types of formulas that has been adjusted to fit with crypto. We've actually worked on CVR, the crypto volatility index, with the person that has created VIX originally. His name is Professor Dan Galai. He actually lives in Israel. And back at 1989, he created something that was called back then Sigma, before it was adjusted by the CBOE to be what is now known as VIX. So we worked on this with him and created the index. Now it's a DeFi product. So the index is produced, then sent to an oracle, a Chainlink oracle, and anybody can use it. It's completely free, and some have already started using it as well. So that's one thing. The index itself, to just give a trader, a speculator, or anybody in the field an ability to look into the future with this. The next obvious thing is to build a trading system around it, which we've also built, and it's available in cvi.finance. So now that you know what the market you have a prediction to where the market will go in terms of volatility, you can actually buy position committing to this using USDT, USDC, and so on. And if your speculation is right, you can profit from this trade. So you may be a trader trying to make profit, and under the current market conditions, this was probably one of the best ways to trade and make money. You can also be as someone that just has a big portfolio and wants to build a hedge for his portfolio. So you don't want to sell your portfolio, but you're very worried about market conditions. So you buy in a position in the crypto volatility index. The next thing that we've created is volatility tokens, which we've just recently launched. So the idea here is dead simple. You don't even need to go to cvi.finance. You can go to a DEX, such as we've created the first implementation on Polygon, so you can go to QuickSwap, for instance, and buy the volatility token. Let's say you're buying a token for ETH volatility called ETHVol, or for the entire or Bitcoin and Ethereum volatility called CVol. You buy the token, and if volatility in the market increases, the price of that token will increase, and you can sell it at a profit. If you feel that volatility is going down, you can sell that token and maybe even buy it later. So betting on volatility or hedging from volatility is as easy as buying a token on the DEX. And with doing so, and we're the first to do so, and the first to do so successfully, because others have tried to build volatility tokens, but what you can see is that their volatility token doesn't keep the peg. It just acts like any other asset you buy and sell. And the reason is that it's very complicated to build a token that can actually do that. We needed to use rebase technology and a stack of other things to allow this to happen. By doing so, we align the crypto abilities to traditional finance abilities. But there is one more thing that is unique to crypto and to DeFi that doesn't happen in traditional finance because it's all centralized back there, which we will be launching this year. And this is the impermanent loss prevention system. So anybody that has ever provided liquidity in a DEX should be aware that if the market is very volatile and the prices of the assets that are in your pair increase or decrease rapidly, you will sustain what is called impermanent loss, just because how automated market makers works. That's the reality of it. Now, when you think about this, if the cause of this problem, of this loss, is volatility, and we have a volatility system, why don't we try to produce a way for you to actually provide liquidity in a DEX, but automatically buy a position in the crypto volatility index trading system or through a volatility token or whatnot, so that, you know, if the market is volatile and you're just having and you are incurring impermanent loss, you can offset that with the profits that you'll make with the system. Now, we understand that most people, it would be just complicated for a lot of people to calculate how much they need and move the tokens around and everything. So we are making this a very sleek and simple system. You deposit in your favorite DEX. That's easy. That's something that you already know how to do. You take the LP token, you deposit it in our system, and now we do everything else. And you don't even need to pay for that. It just automatically adjusts with the profits and so on. And that will give you like an insurance of sorts, but you don't need to pay the premium, an insurance for that impermanent loss for probably 30 days, maybe even more. If you want to do it later, you can renew it. But this is what we are building. This will be unique. This will definitely be the first time that a successful measure was created against impermanent loss. And I think I predict that next quarter will be production ready with impermanent loss system. I would like to, you know, partner with many DEXs as possible to offer this solution. It's you know, it's a win-win for everybody. And if we can do that, we will solve a very costly problem in DeFi today.
Yeah, I completely agree with this because, as we all know, impermanent loss is the most dreadful thing a liquidity provider can incur. And if they're able to hedge against it, or even perhaps profit off it, then that would be a very nice solution. Okay, so speaking of volatility, what do you make of the current market conditions?
To be honest, so not a lot of people know that, but I am also a partner, passive partner in a company called Frequence, which is that provides a technology for algorithmic trading for a hedge fund. So what it means is that, you know, I have, you know, an insight about market conditions that is based on very robust algorithms that tend to be right over time. So, you know, we've been pretty bearish on where Bitcoin will be going for the past few weeks, even before it was obvious. We actually thought yesterday that, or the day before yesterday, sorry, that we're heading to a breakout, and it's going to be a bit more bullish from this point onward. but refuted this yesterday. So right now, it doesn't look amazing. It seems more likely than not that we will see Bitcoin at 30,000 before we see it at higher places. That said, long term, we are very bullish on Bitcoin and the ecosystem as a whole. I don't need to teach anybody about market cycles. We've been part of many market cycles at this point. It usually creates great opportunity for new people to participate at lower prices, as it is. So long term, super bullish. We will definitely see Bitcoin, and again, we can revisit this recording in a year, 2 year, 3 year time. We will see Bitcoin at $100,000, but most likely we will see it at 30,000 before we get to that point.
So you're a proponent of the market cycle theory. You believe that we're moving in a circular way going up?
Absolutely.
Do you see the halving? Do you see the halving as the primary catalyst for that?
No, we're looking at specifically at about 42 indicators. Most are proprietary things, but everything from token consumption age, how much is moving into exchanges, the sentiment on Twitter, CVI. We're looking at market volatility. We're looking at a lot of things. Some can be modeled and predicted with AI. Some can't. Like regulation and so on. But yeah, I think in nature everything moves in cycles and seasonalities, and I don't think this market is different than that. It never moves to just one direction the entire time. So yeah, absolutely.
And speaking about the future, how do you see the industry shaping up in the next, let's say, 5 years? And of course, where is Coty in all of it?
Yeah. So 5 years, I think I've mentioned that in another interview, is that most people tend to underestimate what can be done in 10 years and overestimate what can be done in a year. I think Bill Gates said that originally, if I'm not mistaken. So 5-year predictions are usually the hardest, but look, a few things are happening. Infrastructure is improving. Everything from Ethereum 2.0 to very fast layer ones, to the interoperability bridges that are critical to make a seamless user experience. DeFi has been amazing in attracting new audiences and providing new institutions for crypto. It was said nicely in the Mazzari report that we no longer wait for the major institutions to join crypto. We are the barbarians at their gates, aiming for their lunch. We've created our own institutions where we can lend and borrow, where we can, deposit and have all these amazing instruments, maybe like the crypto volatility index of sorts, but others as well. What is also interesting, and personally, I'm also involved in GameFi. I'm a big believer in this new paradigm of how games can be played and the new incentive system for users. I'm still a firm believer that stablecoin and payments will attract the next few hundred millions of users into crypto. And Coty is very well positioned to do exactly that. But GameFi has also proven itself to be another way to attract millions of users into crypto. And I think we'll see much more of that in the coming years. In the entertainment economy, games are far bigger than everything else, and games is just something that we naturally tend to do. And with the added incentives, I think this will be very big and will attract many more users into crypto. So we'll need to build the right infrastructure for that, whether it's better keys on mobile, so people can play on mobile, and very fast layer ones to support everything that is needed. Obviously, all the NFTs and what has happened around this is quite amazing, and I think we will see NFTs doing things that are greater than just art or games. We'll see NFTs used as ownership, combined with DeFi to allow you to maybe take a loan where the collateral is an NFT that represents ownership of an asset that you have, maybe your house even. So all of this is super exciting, I think, and I think we are. And again, it always sounds like a cliche, but I think it's still right. We're still very early on in this market. There is no industry, I believe, that is better to be at right now. Doesn't really matter what you do in this industry right now, as long as you take part of it, you will benefit greatly from it. So I'm very, very optimistic for the future.
That's a very interesting concept that you said, that we're still very early, because from our perspective as people who are living and breathing the crypto industry, we're in it 24/7. It's easy to get caught up in this bubble of a sort, where we think that things are developing so quickly, so many more people are coming into the industry, that in a sense, it's easy to think that we're not so early. But then when you step out of this bubble, and the NFTs, I think, are a perfect example of this, because in 2021, we saw them exploding in popularity. And to me, it felt like literally every single living person on the planet knows what an NFT is. But then again, when I go outside and when I talk to people, I realize that that's not exactly true. Not a lot of people are aware of non-fungible tokens, let alone GameFi, let alone layer ones and payment protocols and so forth. So I completely agree that we're early. And I also wanted to touch upon the GameFi thing, being a former professional gamer myself. The most fascinating thing about GameFi, to me, it's not just the ability to play and earn, right? The play to earn concept, but it's more like the ability to take complete ownership of the gaming experience, right? Because how many times we've played a game where there is this central authority, this big corporation that just decides to pull the plug, and then everything you've worked for in this game is just completely gone. And with GameFi, this is something that that's being worked on, and I'm really, really excited about this field. Do you see NFTs as a big part of GameFi?
Yeah, well, absolutely. If you need digital scarcity and uniqueness, every character is unique. So an NFT is a very good way to actually represent that and let you assume ownership of your assets. By the way, there's a story. I don't know if it's a legend or not. I think it's true that Vitalik Buterin back in the days played. I think it was World of Warcraft, but I may be wrong. He had this very unique character, and then he had like a special ability of sorts, and he wakes up one day and that ability does no longer exist. They just take it out of the system, and he was, and that would have hidden that he needs decentralized system. So we may owe Ethereum to this, but yes, and NFTs will definitely be a big part of GameFi.
Yeah, he was playing, I believe, World of Warcraft, and his character was a warlock, and they have one spell. I know this because I also used to play a lot of WoW. So they have one spell which is called Siphon Life, and it allows you to channel the life of other mobs around you and fill your life with it. But then the next day it was nerfed, so it wasn't channeling as much as it used to. And that's why he got mad and thought that this needs to be decentralized. And that's a pretty cool concept. I've talked at length with a lot of other people who used to play WoW in particular, who think that taking ownership and creating scarce items can be a very nice thing, especially for MMOs like WoW and like other very popular AAA titles. Well, Shahaf, I think that sums it up. Thank you so much for this podcast. Can you tell us where where users can find you? Twitter, social media, everything.
Sure. So my username in everything is the same. It's Shahaf BG. So it's SHAHAFBG. Twitter, Telegram, Discord, and whatnot. COTI.io is Coty's website, and CVI.finance is for CVI. I've mentioned a game that I got involved in. It's called monkeyleague.io. So people are welcome to visit that as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you once again very much for this recording. And I wish
you, George,
you and the team all the best.